He's a two-time Pro Bowler, NFL Super Bowl champion, and my compadre from NFL Network. Love Fat Mouthing every single Wednesday with you, Eric Davis. Good to have you back here.
Yep, love it.
So what's the most compelling playoff matchup to you coming up this weekend?
Cincinnati.
In Pittsburgh?
In Pittsburgh. Third time. Division rivals. Cincinnati has to try to get over that hump of being a little brother in the division.
With A.J. McCarron.
So, well, it still doesn't matter. The rest of those guys have been there living it. So A.J., it's your turn to step up, and it's a very, very good football team. But the issue with Cincinnati is that, good season, but you look at the playoff teams that they've played down the stretch, teams that are in the playoffs, the last month or so, they haven't played well against any of the playoff caliber teams.
Well, who's the AFC team that's played well at all? Going other than Kansas City, which has been under the radar.
Kansas City. Well, but I'm not even talking about that. I'm not saying that Cincinnati hasn't played well. I'm just saying in the head-to-head matchups, be it an NFC team or an AFC team, the playoff caliber teams, the guys that are in the fight right now, they lost to those teams. So, are you going to be able to raise your level? You're a solid team. You have all the pieces. Can you raise your level of play? And, right now going against a team that feels they can beat you. Of course, Pittsburgh feels like, okay, this is a matchup that we are going to win.
Right.
Because they always do this time of year.
Mm-hmm. And so what did you make of Big Ben publicly saying that Martavis Bryant needs to toughen up on his radio show?
He didn't say anything that Martavis hadn't heard. I'm sure he said that to himself. He said it to him. And the way he said it, he said, look, your guy was a little sick, okay, but toughen up. That's a part of it. It's that time of year. I think it was something that I don't have an issue. I don't view that as him calling him out or being disrespectful. I think he was saying, like, guy, we need you. That was his call to him, saying, I need you.
Right.
I need more from you. I expect more from you. The entire team expects more from you. The organization expects more from you. That's why I'm saying it in this form, because I know you're listening. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not just saying it to you in the locker room. I'm not just saying it to you in the huddle. The world. I want the world to know. I want you because I think you can handle this. And, I think it's more so that than him because he needs the guy. So he's not trying to belittle him.
So who advances on Saturday? Who do you have advancing on Saturday?
Oh, who do we have?
We got Kansas City and Houston starting it, and then the game we just discussed. Sort of that rare, like I mentioned yesterday, I don't recall in the 13 playoff seasons that I've covered just with the NFL Network. I don't recall where all. By the way, I'm tap dancing right now for you to figure out what your answer is.
No, I got it.
Oh, you do right now? Should I stop tap dancing?
No, you can go ahead.
No, I just don't remember it being all one conference's playoff games on 1 week, 1 day of wildcard weekend, and then the other conference. Usually they mix it up, but it's all AFC on Saturday.
All AFC.
We'll know who goes to Denver and New England by Saturday night, and who goes to Arizona and Carolina by the end of Sunday.
I got to go with Kansas City. They're playing extremely well.
Justin Houston, by the way, back at practice today. He didn't play in December at all.
Houston's going to be there. Tom is going to be there. You look at what happened last year in the playoffs, and I know everyone still looks at Alex Smith as the guy who couldn't get it done for the 49ers. He's not that quarterback anymore. He knows what Andy Reid wants him to do within the offense, and they have definitely shifted things. They didn't lose in the playoffs last year because of Alex Smith. They lost because of the back end of their defense. The back end of their defense, combined with that pass rush, is much better.
Right.
Can they block? Can they block?
JJ.
Not just JJ, Merciless also. Because everyone pays so much attention to JJ. Merciless has been playing well, so that's going to be an issue. How many times are they going to hit the quarterback? But I like Kansas City, and.
You got to keep going. You've been on them all year. You said they're making the Super Bowl, right?
What, Kansas City?
No, Pittsburgh.
Oh, I'm going to go Pittsburgh. I still say that. I've said that's the wild card. That's the most dangerous team because at any moment, whether you call out one of those receivers or not, they can score. Their defense doesn't have to be great. It just has to be good. You're getting A.J. I know I don't have an issue with A.J. McCarron going into a big game. He's played in big games. I know, and everyone says, well, it's the college level, but your body doesn't know. Your body doesn't know if it's a high school state championship or the college championship or the Super Bowl.
I have Drake Kirkpatrick on the show next hour. I mean, how do they handle Antonio Brown? What do you think they're going to do that?
Oh, they can say what they want to say. Antonio Brown's the toughest out in the business. Yeah, he is the toughest out. Antonio can. You don't have to design a play. He can take anybody off the dribble. Period. He can take anyone off the dribble. Once he crosses half court, he gets anywhere near the timeline, he can take anyone off the dribble. There's nothing you can do about that. So you can try to design your defense to overload towards him, but then therein lies the issue. You have all these other guys that can score. That's why Ben's saying you got to toughen up, because you're going to get the one-on-one coverage, and I need you to win those battles. If you don't double AB, he's going to eat you alive. And you have to be smart about the way you double him, because he's so smart. If you try to get guys in, high, he's too fast, he's going to run through them, or he'll sit down. And his transition, the transition points of his routes, it is so clean, you can't tell what he's doing. That's what made Jerry Rice so good. Jerry Rice would run at you, and you didn't know if he was going to try to run past you, if he was going in, if he was going out, if he was stopping. AB is the exact same way.
Wow, that's
and the
high
difference
praise,
is
Eric.
that I mean, he's the best route runner in the league. You can't tell what he's doing. And the difference between he and Jerry is that he's smaller. And I've always said, a guy that moves like you, that is as quick as you, that can start and stop like you, is the hardest guy for DB to cover. Most of the time, the DB is a better athlete. People don't want to view it that way, but the DB is it's more difficult to figure out where a dude's going than to know where you're going. And the DBs are normally better athletes. AB is as good an athlete as anybody in the league.
Eric Davis is here. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk NFC. I want to talk to you also about some of the coaching changes, including the one in San Francisco. You're very close to that organization, as we all know, for many years. You called their games for a while.
Yeah.
You know the building a little bit better than most. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
I want to know what happened there and what my coach, former Niner coach,
Your coach,
was tweeting
that's
about.
right.
My coach, Harbaugh, what he's tweeting about reaping and sowing. That's next here with Eric Davis on The Rich Eisen Show. Welcome back to The Rich Eisen Show. Eric Davis is here. So what do we make of the NFC? Okay, you got Carolina with the MVP. Josh Norman, who is, either out of control right now or just hyped out of his skull and ready to shut people down. You've got Arizona, which looked great against Green Bay and then got smoked by the two-time defending NFC champs that look great again with Marshawn Lynch coming back. Minnesota going to host them in a very chilly game. And then Kirk Cousins perhaps playing
well.
better quarterbacking than anybody else the second half of the season, taking on a Green Bay team that looks lost. There's no two ways about it. How does the NFC shape up, do you think?
Eric? Green Bay looks lost. Kirk Cousins is playing well. They get them. Green Bay has. You never know. Aaron Rodgers is such a wild card. You never know. Defensively, they're having the same issues they've had the last few years. The edges of their defense, you can still run on them, but that's not what Washington does. So they're putting it on the quarterback. So that's what Jay is going to do. Jay Gruden's going to do that. But Kurt's playing well. So it's.
So you like Washington?
I like Washington. I actually like Washington in that game. I do. I like Washington in that game. Kurt is playing well. There's no reason to not.
It's certainly at FedEx too.
Yes, at home. There's no reason to not take him at home. Minnesota. I like their quarterback in cold weather games. I think he's like 5-2. Teddy plays well under those circumstances. I like everything about Minnesota. The issue is that they're playing Seattle.
That's an issue.
I don't know if I'm kind of looking at it. Maybe they should have done the whole Doc Rivers thing and looked at it down the stretch like, you know what, I like my seeding right now, and if we don't win this game, we go to Washington as opposed to play. I know everyone's like play at home, but it's like we're in the tournament. But that last game, if you win that game, and it's a lot of things about it. I don't know if they would have been upset. That's what I'm saying. Of course, you don't throw it. Right. I don't know if they would have been upset.
You think Minnesota would have had a better shot going back to Lambeau once again than what they got going on right now.
That's a better matchup right there. But that one, I got Seattle.
Yeah.
Seattle, that's the other team. NFC, I was saying Seattle
So
is
then
the scariest
Seattle at
team.
Cam. Do you think Seattle? So who's got the better shot of knocking Carolina out, Seattle or Arizona?
I think Arizona has a better shot. I don't think Seattle can beat Carolina.
Why?
Just the way they're built. Carolina built their team. Remember, they were they have been put out of the playoffs by the NFC West teams. When you think about it.
The Niners one and done them.
The Niners one and done them. Seattle got them
last year.
And their team is built to play NFC West football and to play those type teams.
Sure.
They have built their team to beat them, and I don't think.
And you think Arizona's the better NFC West team, even though what we saw last week?
No, actually, I think Seattle is, but I think what Arizona does offensively, because of that quick strike offense and what they do with the different guys, I think they have an opportunity to make a few more plays there, and the way they play their defense. If you can, the matchup defense and the way they play defense as opposed to the zones from Seattle, I think it gives them a better chance of just completely snuffing out their passing game. And that right there could be an issue if you take Ted again away.
I've got Eric Davis right here on the Rich Eisen Show. So you have Washington going to Arizona, and you've got Seattle going to Carolina.
Yes.
That's what you have. And you have Pittsburgh going to Denver, and you
Yes.
have Kansas City going to New England.
Yes.
Which I know New England wants very little part of I got to take somebody, obviously.
Yeah.
Where do you stand on the Manning-Osweiler scenario? Are you like everybody else that I've interviewed this week saying it's no question it's Peyton Manning should be starting?
No.
You take a different approach.
No. I think I don't understand why you put Peyton in the first place, and now you've just created a storm to where I think you have to play him now.
Well, they put him in there to win the game. It didn't look like Osweiler was going to win that game.
What was the score when he came into the game?
He came into the game down by 1 point.
Okay.
Down by 1 point.
Okay. He came into the game down by 1 point. You're saying you put him in there to win the game. He was down by 1 point.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it. And Peyton didn't come in throwing the ball. Peyton came in running the ball.
But it looked like he was checking at the line and going into
plays.
plays.
And I'm sure Osweiler has done some of that also. And you're still, and at the end of the day, the Broncos are no longer an offensive team. It's a defensive team. Mm-hmm. And that's what it's all about. And I get it. You decided you want to put Peyton in. Now you have to, because now if you don't put him in and you lose, you look crazy. You look like idiots for having Peyton Manning on the bench. Well, Peyton said he's ready to go. Peyton did not get fixed. He is not all of a sudden going to start ripping, lasers across the field. That aspect of his game is still not there, and that's the aspect that was missing. Teams don't fear that. So it's going to get back to the same thing. Everybody's going to sit on what he can't do, and they're going to make him show that he can do it, and he still can't do that. So I would have stayed with Osweiler. Mm-hmm. And I would have taken my chances with them because I still believe he gives them the best chance to win a championship. And Denver's not winning the Super Bowl.
Before we take our break here, Jim Tom Sula fired, one and done by San Francisco.
I'm shocked.
Did that surprised you?
That surprised me because
Why?
It seems as if that was the guy that they wanted to be in position. Why else would you move Jim Harbaugh out? Unless you had a guy that you thought could do things the way you wanted them done. Mm-hmm. And to not only have him go, but to say that there are no viable candidates within the building to even coach. So you got rid of a coach that we all know had guys on his coordinators could be head coaches. They definitely had things going the right way. And you allowed a guy to put together a staff that does not have one viable candidate on his staff that you would like to interview for the head coaching job. That's crazy to me.
Do you think Chip Kelly's a fit out there? Or up there from here in Southern California? Because that's some of the rumor.
Yeah. Chip Kelly is no. I don't think he would be the guy.
Who's the guy? Who do you think comes in there and can fix Kaepernick and take that team back? What do you think? Is there one out there?
Same guy I thought before.
Don't say Jim Harbaugh. He's taken.
No, well, I think they should say they're sorry. They should call Jim and say we're sorry, come back.
Right.
And if in short of doing that, I thought before thought Mike Shanahan.
Shanahan coming home.
I still think Mike Shanahan because I think Shanahan could come in there. He understands what Jed York. Jed York grew up with Eddie D, tugging on his coat. Okay, he understands what Jed wants. He understands what it means to be a Niner. He understands not just to be a good team, but to be a Niner. He gets it from that standpoint. He also understands football. He understands how to play. He understands how to do things, and he sees things. I mean, even like right now, we're talking about Kirk Cousins.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know.
Everyone was looking at him like he was crazy when he said Kirk Cousins is actually the guy I wanted to be my quarterback.
And maybe who can win a Super Bowl, and that's why maybe Miami's already had him in to say, can you tell us about Tannehill and fix that? Before I take a break, interpret the Harbaugh tweet for me. This minute Tom Sula gets fired. Jim Harbaugh takes to Twitter and says, do not be deceived. You will reap what you sow. Who is that? Is that towards Tom Sula, who might have been campaigning for the gig while Jim was still in the building?
There's a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk that there was campaigning. I don't know. I think
guess?
I would say it's either Jim or
Jed?
No, Harbaugh. Not Harbaugh. I'm sorry, not Harbaugh. Balky Trent. Yeah, I think there may be a combination in there. If I had to read between the lines, I don't know. Who knows what Jim does and why he does it?
Okay.
But yeah, there's speculation is there.
Okay. Eric Davis is here. Let's take a break. Mike Del Tufo, for the television audience, you're going to go outside and give us a weather report out here because I need to know if I should get a coat after the third hour before I hit my car. And then for the radio audience, an exclusive Rich Eisen show weather report for the playoff games. You have not heard this. I mean, you may think you know the weather, but you don't know. And according to this weatherman, you never will. That's next. Okay, welcome back. Why are you Mike Del Tufo's spot is taken by Chris Law?
It can't be that difficult, Rich.
Okay. Oh, God. All right, and then that's because Mike Del Tufo is outside right now. Give me the weather report, Mike.
It is very windy. Winds coming in from the south. You can hear it, you can feel it. Little weather girls, I like that. And it's drizzling and raining, and I believe it is beginning to pick up right now. As right now, it's getting a little heavy.
So what happened there? Are you messing with him? Don't mess with him. I need to actually hear this.
Can you hear him? You can hear him, right?
No, I can't.
I haven't touched him.
It's like I'm hearing way too much disco in my ears and not enough Del Tufo. Words I've never said before. You there, Mike?
Yes, now I'm here. I can hear you, Rich.
Okay.
Chris had the music blasting me out.
I know. Law, get away from there. Just get away.
I'm running the board, Rich.
Walk away. Talk about what's happening right now, Mike. I need to know.
It is pouring rain. You will need a jacket. You will need a raincoat, and you will need an umbrella. It is pouring out here.
Doesn't look like it's pouring.
And it's windy. Very big wind coming from the south.
All right.
It actually doesn't even look like it's raining.
It is. No, it's definitely raining.
Okay.
It's Eric. It's bad out here.
Have you ever seen a cargo shorted weatherman before?
No, I have not.
You have not?
No, I have not. And
Dallas Rains doesn't wear
Dallas Rains does not.
Tropical storm. I'm good.
Dallas Rains doesn't go out in the rain. He
Greatest
he wears
name.
like $2,000 suits.
And best tan in Southern California.
Best what?
Tan.
Best.
Dallas Rains.
Better tan. Dallas Rains, Mike Shanahan. Better tan.
Oh, man.
Gotta go Shanahan, Rich.
Mike Shanahan.
I gotta go Mike Shanahan. Mike, you know I love you, Mike, but he's
got tan.
He's a special shade of orange. He is. I love Mike.
Is it George Hamilton? Doesn't he have a great tan?
Yeah, Hamilton or Mike Shanahan.
Mike Shanahan. Yeah, they're close.
Okay.
They really are.
That was the worst weather report ever.
Ever.
I mean,
It's pretty bad.
He had on
Mike,
What was bad about that?
everything.
It wasn't bad. There was nothing wrong with it. It's raining. It's cold. El Nino's on its actually here. It's not on its way anymore.
Oh, gosh. Roll tape. Roll your break. Eric Davis here for one last segment here on the Rich Eisen Show. 844-204-RICH is the number to dial. Drake Kirkpatrick of the Cincinnati Bengals will be joining me along with Giancarlos Canella of NBC's telenovela. That rhymes here in the third hour of the Rich Eisen Show. I want to ask you about playing in the cold weather. But before I do that, Eric, we have an exclusive weather report for this weekend's playoff games. From a meteorologist from the New England area.
Is he in cargo shorts?
He is not in cargo shorts. That was only for the Rich Eisen Show television-only segment with Mike Del Tufo, the worst weather report of all time. Standing outside telling me it's raining.
I wouldn't say worst, but I will put it top 3.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. It's like the boom goes the dynamite of weather reporting right there. But at any rate, the exclusive Rich Eisen Show playoff weather report from a meteorologist from the New England area named William Belichick.
And now here's the weather forecast for all of this weekend's big NFL matchups.
It snows, it snows. Rains, it rains. It's hot, it's hot. It's windy, it's windy. It's not windy, it's not windy. We can't control any of those things.
And for even more in-depth coverage of weather conditions, please stay tuned to this channel.
There you go.
I like it.
There you go.
I like it. And you know what? He didn't lie.
No, right?
No. All of that actually applies.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just spot on.
Right.
That's accurate.
I mean,
he must have Doppler. He must have Doppler.
Must. You would think.
Well, the Steelers think he has Doppler.
Stop it.
What's the coldest game you've ever played? It's supposed to be 0 degrees in Minnesota.
Minus 23 below.
No.
Yeah,
gosh.
wind chill minus 23 below in Green Bay. But that actually wasn't the cold. That game, body fluids actually froze. I tackled Dorsey Levin's helmet. His shoulder pads hit me in the face.
Yes.
And there was blood. And then I went back to touch it the second time, and it was gone. A few plays later, we get off the field, you go stand in front of the heaters, my nose started to bleed. And I realized at that moment, when your body fluids are freezing, it's chilly.
So it was so cold. So it's like, it was so cold in Green Bay, my blood froze.
My blood froze. But that's not the coldest I've ever been in my life. The coldest was Kansas City. It got down to 15 below. But at kickoff, it was 22 degrees. A cold front came through. It was 5 below by the time we went in from there. It went from 22 to 5 below by the time we went in for halftime. So it just kept getting colder and colder and colder, and you could feel it. And I thought it would never stop.
It may be a crazy question. Is it more physical or mental of a problem?
It's a little of both. It's nature and nurture. It is because you can. And I thought I was a fairly mentally tough person when I played the game, but you reach a point to where your body starts to shut down. And because you're a professional athlete and you understand your body and what's going on, you start to realize that things aren't working well. So then it gets into your head. So I think it's a little of both because the elements it'll make your body shut down, and then you realize it.
Sleeves or no sleeves? You went sleeves or no sleeves?
No sleeves. I wore.
Look at you, tough guy.
No, not a tough guy. I was never I tried it early on wearing a lot of clothing, and I was just uncomfortable. And I was still cold. So whatever I wore the first day of training camp, first game of the season, I had it on in that 23 below. I wore the same thing. And I froze my
blood off.
Patukas off. Yes.
All right, man. Thank you for coming on. I love the whole fat mouthing with you.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern. On Audience.